So as I mentioned earlier, now we have a panel discussion, and this uh, deals with more on the supply chain side. As all of us are aware, pharma or life sciences is one industry which is critical on supply chain. The smooth and efficient functioning of the supply chain is paramount for the success of the pharma companies. So this panel discussion, the theme is making change possible for sustainable pharma industry by realizing clean operations and energy efficient supply chains. So primarily, the focus would be on how the supply chains itself can be made more sustainable, how they can be made more energy efficient, how this efficiency can be optimized, and how technology can help in that overall process. And to have this discussion, we have a very eminent set of panelists representing the top pharma companies, not just in India but globally. So it's my pleasure to now call on stage the panelists. We have Mr. Prasad Deshpande, Senior Vice President and Head of Global Procurement and Supply Chain from Biocon. Can we have Mr. Deshpande? Next, we have Mr. Masood Sheikh, Vice President, Distribution and Marketing Services, Alembic Pharma. I would now call on stage Mr. Vikram Srivastav, Head of Planning, Global Supply Chain at Sun Pharma. Next, I would like to call on stage Mr. Chintan Ghia, Head of Supply Chain, Universal NutriSciences. It's my pleasure to now call on stage Anirudh Galgali, Director Strategy, Cipla, Europe and Emerging Markets. And to moderate the discussion with this eminent set of panelists, it's my pleasure to call on stage Mr. Ravindra Pandeji. He is a Regional Sales Head West from Schneider Electric. The stage is all yours, Ravindra, now.
Thank you, Rajneesh. Thank you to all the panelists for being here with us tonight. We at Schneider Electric, we are helping to the cause of sustainability through our energy management and industrial automation product, services, software, and we do it through electric plus digital. Electric for decarbonization and digital for increasing the efficiency. So today I'm going to be your moderator, and although I have less experience than you, I would like to ask you a few questions so that our knowledge bank increases. So first question to you, Mr. Deshpande. Thank you for being here with us. Sustainability is very important, but what is the role of sustainability in life sciences segment, and what are the challenges you face when you want to implement the sustainability in your organization?
Thank you, Ravindra. Thank you, Schneider. Thank you for inviting us. Jain sir, it's always a great pleasure to see you and hear your, I won't call words of wisdom, but pearls of wisdom. So thank you for that. I'll answer your, Ravindra, the question with an anecdote that happened exactly in Biocon. We were trying to bid a business in France. And they said, normally as a pharma company, what we expect is whether you have European certifications, do you have all other, the technology, regulatory, all that. They first asked, it's a French hospital chain, they sent us a ESG questionnaire, Environmental Sustainability and Governance. And they said, fill that first, where Biocon stands today, then we will discuss the business. So I think in short, I answered your question, where does the sustainability play in life sciences today? It started out as, I would call it as a vogue, then nice to have. Now we are here where it is must have. It has become a business imperative. Otherwise, we are now losing the business. So it is no more, oh, we have an annual report and then the chairman's message with the ESG report. It is embedded into our business model now. So that is where the role of sustainability has taken, I would say, the mainstream into the life sciences business.
So nice. And what are the challenges you face as an organization to implement sustainability in your own organization, sir?
So the first thing, like anything, as a new thing happens, is the adoption. And pharma has been at the forefront in terms of EHS, what we would call it is, which is environmental health and safety. And we thought that is enough to be an ESG compliant. But as we got into that, we realized that is just one of the plain foundations of the ESG. That is not the pinnacle of the ESG. So adoption is a concern. Lot of our pharmaceuticals are still chemical based. So the wastewater, the energy, it's an energy intensive business. So those adoptions are, I would say, the challenges. I'll give an example. Biocon came on the journey of the energy. So electricity, in last 3 years, we went from 15%, 15% to 88% renewable. So that is a journey, but it took time. So we are now, and the reason I'm saying 88% is because there are a lot of the state laws which will not allow us to go to all 100% and then certain disruptions. But so that is one. But adoption is one of the major challenges, I would, towards the sustainability.
Thank you very much, Prasad ji. What you said, two things what I'm taking from here is ESG is not optional. ESG has made it mandatory for every organization to be sustainable. Very happy to hear that. And second, very important word which you use, adoption. Adoption means making something your legally. Adapt is making ready for something new situation. So it is time to adopt sustainable. Masud ji, thank you very much. So now if sustainability is becoming mandatory, what do you think, what role, even Sudarshan Saab also said that digitization is becoming important. What do you feel, what role digitization can play in sustainability?
See, digitalization, the first thing which in health industry or pharma industry we are missing is visibility today, the end-to-end visibility, and we are really very much behind than the other industries in this country. Basically, whatever sustainability, unless and until we have a proper visibility end-to-end, right from manufacturing to the selling point, will not be able to sustain. That is one. Secondly, on an operation basis, if you have not been digitalized and not have linked with the customer or maybe at the stockist level or up to the CFA, you'll not be able to know what kind of business is going on, how you want to improve upon the business. So one thing is the topic which again, when we are discussing is how it can be a clean operations, Now clean operation in past when we were handling distribution and logistics and thing, so we were only been restricted up to a CSP, central stock point, or a CFA. So we were knowing that CFA ko clean rakhna chahiye, the factory should be clean and everything should be, in a proper manner, so that, any visits of a drug inspector comes, he should give. But when we say about the operations, we were never into a field operations or we were never into a secondary market, where the main disruption happens. Today, whatever you do at your level, you supply on time or you manufacture and store it. But unless and until there is a secondary market or unless and until there is a proper demand in the market, you are not going to sustain. So how to have a clean operation in the market is much, much important today because major of the times your stocks are outside the warehouse. They are into the market and how it can get liquidated into the market is more important. So what, as an Alembic, what we have done is we have actually captured the market. How is the market operating? Is there is a demand against the supply what you are making? is the demand actually a real demand or it's a fake demand? That is more important because as we know, I mean, I should not give an offended to a sales guys, but the way the sales were happening in this country, absolutely everyone was focusing on a primary kind of way. And, although there was a COVID, but we didn't find any shortage, much of shortages because already the inventory was much, much higher as what it used to be and it was to be. So there was no much of shortage, but still we could manage in spite of so much of increase in the sales, we could manage. But that didn't carry the responsibility of a distribution or a supply chain guy to continue with the same kind of stocking. So unless and until you have a fresh batch in the market get manufactured and been sold, then only you will be able to actually save the wastages what is happen in the pharma industry today. You know the pharma industry, how it has been related to the spoilages, expiries, breakages, the way things are happening, maybe 3%, 4%, 5% wastage is coming back. And this wastage actually to dispose it of is a big task. So unless and until you have a proper planning, proper supply, proper sales, proper control in the market, you will not be able to control all these things. So you have to have this kind of operations so that you sustain as well as so this everything only digitalization can help you, by giving a proper analysis to it. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, very aptly said, sir. So you are saying right from planning, supply chain to sales forecasting to distribution to marketing, everywhere digitization will play a greater role. Thank you very much, sir. Vikramji, my next question to you. We are doing much business with Sun Pharma, and now, as Prasad sir said, ESG is the norm, which is a mandatory norm. What do you feel? How ESG can be tracked, improved, or reported when we are implementing sustainability in, let's say, in Sun Pharma, and ESG has become the norm? Then how ESG can be improved? It can be tracked, or it can be reported.
Very interesting. Thank you for that question, and good evening to all. Thank you to APAC for organizing this, event. And so, I mean, when it comes to tracking and monitoring, I am a firm believer that, like Mr. Deshpande also was saying, we have to start adopting now. So we have to start clean, I mean, there are no benchmark data, there are no fixed, formats or reports which we can look at and we can monitor and we can, measure against. So I am a firm believer that we have to start somewhere. And like he said, a lot of companies have started already because it's no more vogue or fashion to talk about sustainability, ESG, etc. It is a must required, because we have to grow in a responsible way. And so you have to build this airplane as we fly it, so to speak. So the reports, the benchmarking data has to be self-generated. You need to benchmark against what you were doing last. Like he, shared a very interesting stat that they were looking at 15% of electricity renewable, and then they went up to 88%. So that becomes a benchmark for them, because there's no industry benchmark that if you're above 50%, you're doing good. If you're above 70%, you're not doing very good. If you're 30%, you're not doing good. So it depends on your infrastructure, your industry, your capability to adopt. And you need to self-benchmark and start measuring yourself somewhere. I mean, because you have to start this journey somewhere, I mean, when we talked about, for example, supply chain about, say, 2 or 3 decades back, there were no benchmark reports in terms of procurement, who is buying how, who is doing what sourcing. As the data started getting generated, we understood what is right, what is wrong, what we need to achieve. So in my opinion, that's the key over here, that we need to start somewhere. And I'm glad that a lot of companies sitting over here in this room and, a lot of industry focus has gone into sustainability now. And, people are looking at it with a very close lens now, how we can make our operations sustainable, how we can make our growth sustainable. And in my opinion, the reports are going to be following the initiatives that you're taking.
Very happy to hear from you that ESG has to be monitored, measured, and I'm very happy to share with you that with our resource advisor, we have the dashboard which can measure ESG in E part. We can do it for energy management. In socioeconomic, we are doing how much female hiring we have. We are the company who who are known for it. And as far as governance is concerned, we are also doing pay equity, pay on performance. So all these things can be tracked and measured. Thank you very much, Vikramji. Chintanji, my next question to you, and this is the story which we were weaving, that ESG is mandatory, digitization is mandatory, how ESG can be tracked. So companies would surely start their journey towards net zero. So I would like to ask you, what is your suggestion to the companies who are coming to this field and starting their net zero journey? What would you suggest to them?
First of all, thanks to APAC and Schneider for organizing this session. So, to answer your question, I feel that every company needs to decide what is important from them. So, my previous companies, we were suppliers to all the big pharma companies. So over there, we are mostly dealing with chemicals, and most of them were lot of them were petroleum based, lot of them were acids based. So over there, the focus was that how do we ensure that there are no fire accidents? How do we ensure there is no safety hazard to the people working over there? So over there, the benchmark was in terms of how do we ensure that there are zero accident, be it at the manufacturing side or be it at our distribution side. Now, since I've come onto the nutraceutical part, that's where a company mostly deals with. So over here, I'd like to borrow the point as Mr. Masood was mentioning that over a year back or so, and due to maybe the effect of the COVID, some products demand falling down, some products going up, we were left with an expiry returns which were going more than 8%, 9%. So how do we track that? Because inventory has always been looked more from the working capital standpoint, but I believe that it's high time that we start looking at the inventory from the sustainability standpoint as well, because it's not just the money of the company which is blocked or the revenue getting impacted, but it is also the energy which is going into manufacturing it, the cost of the transportation. So not only the cost, but the fuel or the carbon emission which is happening along the way. So it is very important that depending on the priority the company sets in, different parameters can be defined. So here we were very clear that from the ESG standpoint, what we want to focus is that how do we reduce our expiries and everything. Now, when we started looking at the expiries, what we realized is that we have a very short shelf life. So what is that we can first of all do to control the inventory at the market level? What is that we can do to control the inventory at our level? And we didn't just stop here. We actually went back end to work with the suppliers to see that how we can optimize the inventory across. So that is where the digital will also play a key role. So it's very important that when we are looking at the inventory levels or in terms of the sustainability, we focus across the end-to-end supply chain and not just restricted to few nodes of supply chain.
Thank you very much. That was precious advice from your side to the companies who are coming into this field. And we have Mr. Anirudh with us. We have a very huge business with Cipla. Any product comes in Schneider Electric, we go and implement at Cipla first. So this question to you, Mr. Anirudh. We heard this sustainability story, we gave advice to the company. But if we look at your investors and our customers, your customers, so investor and customer, these external resources, how they are impacting the sustainability journey? What do you feel?
Thanks for the question. And thanks for having me for this event. So sustainability, if you look at it, say a decade ago or say 15 years back, it was more of an armchair discussion, right? A good to have. Today it is moved to an area where we are looking at, having a foot in the door, and very soon it would be absolutely compliant. So I think the sooner someone jumps into the journey, there is a tremendous competitive advantage to be ahead. Let me give you a few examples. Companies used to look at most of their models as commercial front. So if I do ABC, do I optimize my investment or maximize my revenue or the cost? Going ahead, I would look at most of the models being ESG first. So you would not look at what is the cost of the material that I'm acquiring and how do I optimize, but how sustainable is the process, and therefore drive efficiencies out of it into the books. So that is one. Second, it is not just an internal outlook, but also if you speak to people in your circle, almost everyone is cognizant of the fact that they need to do something for the environment. They need to do something in the space that they are working for, and so people are getting more and more conscious about this fact. So even if there is a slight premium, for products which are therefore more compliant, in the long run, at least in the consumer-centric spaces, I do not see it would be a major concern for most of us, from a consumption standpoint. So the society evolution is going very rapidly, and most of it is also being fueled by the unfortunate incidents in the last 3-4 years. We have seen tremendous impacts of environment collapses. So to sum it up, I think most of the organizations definitely are propelling far ahead. Some are being pushed by regulations, as some of our colleagues mentioned. In fact, UK is one of our big markets, and we have less than 2 years, to be neutral at a product level, not just at a overall org level, right? So in some spaces. So very soon, I would see most of the companies making it mandatory, most of the countries, coming up with mandates. So it won't be a choice anymore. But the sooner you adopt, it gives you an edge ahead of everyone who's going to adopt it at much later.
So nice of you. So Mr. Deshpande started with ESG is mandatory, and you are saying ESG is early bird benefit. The sooner you get it, it is much better for everybody. And I would like to tell you whatever products and services Schneider supplies in market, all are green premium certified, all are certified to ESG norm. Very happy to have you here, sir. And I think we all have taken something from this discussion. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.